The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Alan W. Watts.
You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast.
Before I jump into today's episode, I need my business owners to listen up. If you're serious about building a business and a life you love, you need to sign up for the Level Up Living newsletter brought to you by the Become Your Own Boss podcast. Each month, you'll get fresh insights on entrepreneurship, mindset, and lifestyle upgrades. Not just a recap of the podcast, but exclusive content to help you grow and live life by your design. You can sign up at monicaallen.com. Simply click on the bright purple button at the top right corner of the website. We need to talk about this. If you're a business owner working with imported products or materials like we do at Zeus Closet, these newly announced tariffs and now the sudden pause probably have you feeling like you're on a seesaw. This episode isn't about politics, it's about preparation. Because when you sell products, especially discretionary items, shifts like this can hit your margins. But here's the truth, we are not powerless. Today we're talking about strategy, not panic. We're not going to panic. We're going to talk strategy. Or at least I want to share with you what I'm thinking. We're walking through how to reassess, reframe, and reposition our business so we can not only survive the economic shifts, but potentially thrive because of them. Let's break this down. First of all, even though I'm certain you have heard this word over 1,000 times in the past week, we literally have heard it on late night talk shows, any news channel you turn on, any channel you turn on. But what are tariffs? Tariffs are essentially taxes on imported goods. When the cost of these imported items go up, our cost of goods sold, or COGS, will more than likely go up as well. This, of course, shows up on your profit and loss statement and therefore can possibly reduce your overall profit. A business has to make a profit. My wholesalers will have no choice but to raise their prices. For businesses like mine, this could mean the blank jackets or shirts we order, the thread we use, or even our equipment parts could jump in price. Our machines are made in Japan, so if tariffs go up on Japan, then the prices of those machines as well as their parts will go up because they manufacture the parts there as well. And another thing that I've been thinking about is all of our items are discretionary items, which means people don't need them. They love them, but they don't need them. We need food. Now, we may change what we purchase if prices of things go up, but we have to eat. So those aren't necessarily discretionary items, though some of them may be. That means we've got to be extra strategic for those of us who are in a space where our products are discretionary. Because if we're not proactive, our margins could shrink, and so does our ability to grow higher or even to keep our businesses afloat. And none of us are going down without a fight. Step one, because we're going to talk through how can we push through whatever's thrown at us when it comes to this tariff thing. We're going to start with what we can control. Can you find domestic vendors or different international suppliers who aren't tariff impacted? Now that the tariffs are on pause for 90 days due to the huge market dip last week, I'm hopeful that our wholesalers are looking for alternatives that have lower tariffs. In addition, many of them already have warehouses full of merchandise, so perhaps the impact of any tariffs that would take place will take some time because they've already paid for the items that are currently in their warehouses. Also, we can ask ourselves, is there room to negotiate better terms with our existing vendors? For some of you, this may be the case. Now, I don't think we have that much purchasing power because we don't necessarily purchase a whole bunch of stuff at one time. We actually love doing one-offs for people. We may purchase one jacket here, one t-shirt here. Our room to negotiate lower pricing may be somewhat difficult, but as my mom taught me, it never hurts to ask, right? Another thing is, can we reduce waste or streamline inventory so we're not sitting on excess things that cost us money? One thing that I plan on doing this summer when I have more time is discounting some of our inventory that has just been hanging around for a while. This will bring in some cash and move out things that are currently a bit stagnant. And we already try not to keep a lot of inventory, but over time, things can seem to just accumulate. You see, sometimes it's not about a big change, it's just about tightening up the ship. And I know we can definitely do that in our business. So maybe there's room for you to do that as well. Step two is adjusting our pricing with purpose. Now, if you go back and listen to some previous episodes, Ethan and I have talked about pricing so many times. And usually he's the one who is the mover of pricing. And I'm always scared to change prices. Moving your prices can be scary. And so I totally get it. No one actually wants to raise prices without cause, but sometimes it is necessary. We had to raise our prices during the pandemic because our wholesalers' prices went up, as well as the cost of labor. No one was interested in making less than, I would say, $20 an hour. I still think that's the case. It's probably even gone up now to no less than $25 an hour. So labor costs went up. So we had no choice but to raise prices. We did want to keep our team intact. So that was really important to us. If you need to raise prices, have some suggestions. One, communicate it clearly and honestly. When we had to raise our prices during the pandemic, we gave our customers a 3 months heads up. In addition, our wholesalers are usually really good about letting us know when they're going to have a price increase. So this gives us time to prepare. Another thing we can do when it comes to pricing, we can show our customers the value that they're getting. We like to do bundles. So we have our Neo package, we have our business package, and those types of things do offer discounts for people versus them buying a la carte. We may have to go up on those prices, but at least they still get a bundle of items. We could offer bonuses, or perhaps you can even add small touches that make the experience feel elevated. Maybe special packaging or special paper or something that's the product's wrapped in. Most importantly, though, you don't want to compete on price. I've said this before. My marketing professor said it many, many years ago. Is competing on price is the fastest way to the bottom. So we want to stick with that. What we want to compete on is excellence. People will pay for value when they understand it. I have found that many of our customers, especially those repeat customers that we have, they get us. They understand our unique value proposition and they understand our price point as well. A lot of companies aren't willing to do the custom jackets, the very custom artwork that we're willing to do. So our customers get the fact that it does cost more and it requires more work. We're going to go back to focusing on that. We're going to go back to focusing on playing up our custom artwork on jackets, really going back to our roots and where we started, because this is where we're set apart from other embroiderers. We will also remind customers that they can bring in items they already own to add their logos. This is absolutely great because it reduces us having to buy a product. It reduces us having to take time to order that product. And thus, we all can avoid these newly imposed tariffs or pause tariffs. Who knows what's up with the tariffs at this point? I keep trying to keep up with it on the news, even though I really don't like watching the news. So I actually keep up with it by listening to comedy because they give you the information, but they also make it funny. I enjoy that. The next thing or the next step is diversifying revenue. We've talked about this one before, and this is one of my favorite things to talk about because I'm constantly trying to think strategically, like what's happening in my niche and how can I better serve customers? How can we make money without being totally tied to physical goods? So that's a question for you as well. How can you make money without being totally tied to physical goods? And so I have some examples here that maybe you can think on. But one is, could you add a digital product like a guide, a course, or a template? I'm continuing to focus on Greek Hub and its subscription model. My goal here is to add value to other business owners who are members of fraternities and sororities. It's a passion of mine. As you can see with this podcast, I love talking about business. I love to think through different things, how we can make our businesses better. But Greek Hub is specific to people who are members of fraternities and sororities. So offering them some type of digital product perhaps is an idea, or offering them, Greek Hub, that profile in a directory is an idea. Another thing is perhaps you're in an industry that you could offer workshops, consultations, or speaking engagements. We currently do offer workshops to Greek Hub members. We don't typically charge for them as long as you're a paying member of Greek Hub. And a previous guest on this podcast, Andy Gressinger, she's a wood flower florist. That's a mouthful. Wood flower florist. Try saying that fast 10 times. But she offers an annual conference for other wood flower florists. And she charges a fee to attend. She has speakers, and it has become such a great thing, a great addition to her business. You can hear more about Andy and how she's grown her business in episode 173. Another thing is ask yourself, is there something you already do that you could teach someone else? We have been toying around with the idea of offering classes for a few years, and we haven't done it yet. But I have lots of people ask me, probably at least one a month, will say, have you guys ever considered teaching a class on embroidery? I would love to take a class. So this is something that we've talked a little bit more about this year, and perhaps it's something we'll consider. And I absolutely love the idea of selling your sawdust. I've mentioned that previously, but this is taking a byproduct of your business and making that its own offer. And I really do love this concept, but truthfully, I have not quite figured out how to do this in our business. One of the things that I've thought about in the past, I haven't done it for myself. I was thinking perhaps my kids could do this, is take the leftover materials that we have from when we cut out these huge designs, is taking those materials and creating really cool artwork. I don't know if that's something they would ever consider doing, but I really have thought about that. I was like, oh, it would be so great if we could use all this material. Another thing is to build long-term resilience. And this is step 4. We must all work on building up a little cushion. I talk about cash reserves. I talk about saving 10% of every dollar you make. And truthfully, we do that in our business, but sometimes I have to dip into those reserves to either cover payroll or to cover unexpected expense. But it's nice to have those cash reserves when I need them. Having that, beginning to make sure you're building that cushion is so important. This is a great time to do that if you have not already started. Also, consider joining a buying group or cooperative in your industry. There's always power in numbers. And then lastly, on this point, just staying plugged in. Perhaps subscribe to trade updates. Talk to others in your space or in your industry, because the last thing we want is to be blindsided. Our industries are different, but we all have a business that we want to continue to run. The goal here is to not be blindsided, but to be prepared. We have already began communicating with our providers. A lot of them have already sent out emails around the talk of tariffs last week, kind of what to look for, how they'll continue to keep us informed. This is really important. Stay plugged in. Know what's happening in your industry. Talk to other people in your industry. We may not be able to control global policy. Most of us are small business owners. We're just not that plugged in, but we can control our response. Ideally, if we can get ahead of it by thinking strategically, then we cannot be impacted, or we won't be as impacted by the back and forth and the indecisiveness of our leaders, especially in this tariff space. Tariffs, rising costs, economic uncertainty, it's all part of this entrepreneurial journey that we're on. We opened Zeus's Closet in 2009, right after the housing crisis and multiple bank failures in 2008. What's really cool is next Friday, we will celebrate 16 years of Zeus's Closet being opened. We opened on April 18th of 2009. But we pushed through that. We started the business. We also pushed through the pandemic. We're not going to give up now. As the quote stated at the top of this episode, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. I love the imagery of joining the dance, because while you join the dance, while you're moving, you're moving and making changes that are necessary, but your movements can be strategic and you just don't stop moving. I love the imagery of the dance. I wanted to take a moment and chat with you about this today. It was not originally my thought, but when the tariffs popped up last week, I was like, I've got to talk about this because it's going to impact us as business owners. And I want us all to know that we're not alone in this. We're walking through it together. And that makes us stronger because we can help each other. We can share ideas, we can share thoughts. And for those of you who perhaps are not in a product based business space, you still must think strategically. You may not have to be concerned with tariffs, but you do have to be concerned if clients begin to spend less because your service is discretionary, or they spend less because they're having to spend more on personal things like food because that's a necessity. Ask yourself too, what can you do to make your service invaluable? Can you add in software or something that they continuously will need from you? I'm going to leave you with a challenge this week. And those are reviewing your supply chain, just kind of making sure you know what's going on, making sure you know what's happening in your industry and what they're talking about and thinking about. Another thing is keep a close eye on your prices. I've been checking prices this week to just make sure they haven't gone up from my wholesalers, but continuing to do that perhaps on a weekly basis and speaking to vendors to see what countries they source from, to see what products may be impacted over others. And last action item here is to sketch out a new revenue idea, even if it's just a brainstorm. I love brainstorming because it's so much fun and you never know what's going to come out of it. So kind of think through that. How can I create another revenue stream? Or what can I take that's currently in my business and create something else that may not be tied to tariffs, ideally, or discretionary type things? We don't grow by staying still. We grow by reassessing, adapting, and pushing forward with purpose. I have found when an entrepreneur's back is against the wall, we are forced to think innovatively and we come out better and stronger on the other side. We will be ready for whatever is thrown our way. Thank you for listening today. I'm grateful for you. Do share this episode with a fellow business owner as I hope it can serve as encouragement. We will not sit around and wait to see what will happen. Remember, we can think strategically and prepare now. And remember, now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.